Welcome back, scholars. I hope the do now seemed fairly easy. I tried to ease you into this, but let's talk about it a little bit, okay? So you're going to a store and you're buying packs of gum. It doesn't tell you how many, and you also have a cost, right? So those are two things that change: how many packs of gum you buy and how much it's going to cost you. Now, those are our two variables. Today, we are going to name these two variables because they're not the same. If you look in your notes on your Google Docs, I want you to be there taking notes while you watch this video, our aim or our goal today is to identify independent and dependent variables. These are our two different types of variables. One is independent and one is dependent. Okay? So I want you to think back to our gum story about buying packs of gum. So we had how many packs of gum we bought and the total cost. Now I asked you, how much will it cost if I buy one pack of gum? How much will it cost if it's 2 or 3? Well, what would you answer for the cost? Well, it depends on how many packs of gum I buy. Right? If I buy 5 packs of gum, it's going to cost more. If I buy 2 packs of gum, it's going to cost less. The cost, how much I pay, depends on how much I buy. That's common sense, right? That's every time you go into the store, you know if you're going to buy more, it's going to cost more. So your cost, how much you're paying, depends on how much you're buying. So our dependent variable was our cost. So what does that make my packs of gum? It's independent. I get to decide that. If I get to decide how much I buy, it's free. I don't care how much it costs. I'm free to decide how much I'm going to buy. That makes it independent. And if this doesn't make sense yet, don't worry. We are going to practice finding these, okay? Our key point is that the independent variable causes the value of the dependent variable to change. Of course, I'll give you a second to write that down. I want you to think about it though. How much I bought, my independent variable, causes the value or the cost to change, right? I decide how many packs of gum I buy causes my actual money to change, either up or down. Depends on how much I buy. All right, let's practice finding these two things, okay? Priya streams movies through a company that charges her a $5 monthly fee plus $1.50 per movie M. I found one of my variables. I don't know what it is yet, independent or dependent, but I found one of them. The equation below represents the total amount Priya spends, C, streaming movies in a month. C equals 1.5 M plus 5. Determine the independent and dependent variables. Okay, let's stop there. That's our first step. Now, throughout this lesson, I'm going to ask you to annotate the independent and dependent variable the exact same way every single time. So your independent variable, the one that I get to decide, is going to be a circle, and the dependent is going to be a square. So let me look at my two variables again. I have movies and I have cost. So let me think about it. Which one depends on the other? The amount of movies depends on my total cost? Or does my total cost depend on how many movies I watch? The second one, the cost, how much I actually pay at the end of the month, depends on how many movies I watched. So my C is going to be my dependent because it depends on the other one. So I'm going to put a box around that variable right there. That is my dependent. Total, oh, sorry, this dependent variable right here is, I'm just going to write cost, C, make it easier. Okay, we can fill that in right there. So what does that make my movies? Does that make sense for it to be independent? Well, who gets to decide how many movies you watch? Well, you do, or your parents do, but you decide how many movies you're going to watch. That's independent. It doesn't depend on anything else other than up here. So I am going to circle my movies because that's independent. Quickly annotate it. IV, independent variable, is the movies I watch. Okay? So that's the relationship between the two. My cost depends on how many movies I watch. The movies is what I get to decide. So my next part of this problem says, create a table to show the total cost per month given that she might stream between 4 and 10 movies in a month. Right? That's what I said. She gets to decide how many she's going to watch between 4 and 10. Okay, so always, I would like to say always, they like to put our independent variable first because that's what I decide. So my independent variable, my movies, is going to go up here. And my cost, which depends on how many movies I watch, is going to go right here. All right, so movies, it says it's between 4 and 10. So let's fill that out. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's what I get to decide. It didn't depend on anything other than what I decide. Independent variable. Now let's talk about the dependent variable. How much it costs. Well, it gives me the equation right here. So I can use that using substitution to figure out my C. Hint, usually the variable that's by itself after or before an equal sign is going to be your dependent variable because it depends on the other side. Whatever you get as your total or your answer is usually going to be your dependent variable. So let's check that out. If M is 4, what would that mean? 1.5 times 4 plus 5. Very quickly, I would like to think of this not as 1.5 because that's a little tricky, right? I can think of it as 15. 15 times 4, we should know our multiplication tables. 15 times 4 is 60. But it wasn't 15, it was 1.5. So I'm going to add that decimal right there, and that makes it 6. 6 plus 5 is 11. So if she watches 4 movies, it's going to cost her $11. How about if she watches 5 movies? 1.5 times 5 plus 5. 1.5 times 5, 15 times 5, 75. So 7.5 plus 5 equals, oh, can't mess up my decimal. 12.5. Now, I want you to be able to fill this out one by one. However, I don't want us to spend a lot of time just doing this simple math. I want us to see if we can find a pattern, okay? We're going to do one more and we'll see if we find a pattern. 6. 1.5 times 6 plus 5. 1.5 times, oops, missed that there. 1.5 times 6, 6 times 15. Let me see here. That should be 90. So it would be 9.0 plus 5. 9 plus 5 is 14. So I want to see, do we have a pattern here? Well, it's not multiplying anything. 11 plus 1.5. 12.5 plus 1.5. Yes, that is actually going to be my pattern. Because if you look back, with each movie that I watch, it's going to cost an extra $1.50. So as I go down my line, I don't have to do the math every single time. I can just remember, oh yeah, I'm watching an extra movie. It's going to cost an extra $1.50. So not $14, this is going to cost $15.50. 8 movies plus another $1.50 is going to cost me $17. This is going to cost me, what is that, 18.5. And finally, 10 movies is going to cost me $20. Okay? So today, your job is going to be first, find independent, circle it, find dependent, put a box around it. And then your second step is actually going to be filling out a table like this, okay? Just like you had with the gum, 1 pack of gum will cost this much, 2 will cost this much, 3 will cost this much, okay? If you get stuck, don't worry. I'm here to help. You can write me notes in your exit ticket and meet me at office hours. I'm here to help you, okay? So do your best. I can't wait to see all your work and see you tomorrow.